So you spot that sketchy email in your inbox. You do the right thing, you hit that report button, and then what, right? It just vanishes. And for you, that's pretty much the end of the story. But on the other side, for a team of digital detectives, your single click just kicked off a major investigation. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain.
You've set up the signal flare, so what really happens on the other side? Who answers that call, and what are they actually looking for? We're going to follow the journey of that one single email you reported from your inbox all the way through a full-blown cybersecurity incident response.
Believe it or not, this entire digital manhunt, it all gets started by a single trigger. And that trigger? It's you. Let's dig into how your awareness becomes the first and, honestly, the most critical line of defense.
Okay, so just to make sure we're all on the same page here, phishing is basically a digital con game. Attackers put on a mask, pretending to be someone you trust, like your bank, the IT department, maybe even your boss, to trick you into handing over the keys to the kingdom. And that could be anything from your password to company secrets.
Now, your report is a huge deal. It's often the starting gun, but it's not the only way an investigation gets rolling. Sometimes the Security Operations Center, the SOC team, the folks watching the monitors 24/7, they spot a weird pattern and sound the alarm themselves. And other times, smart security tools automatically catch and quarantine a threat before a person even sees it.
Once that alert is raised, well, the hunt is officially on. The security analysts, they turn into digital forensic experts, and that phishing email you reported, that's now the crime scene. They are about to meticulously comb through every single digital fiber of it, looking for the attacker's fingerprints. You know, every email has all this hidden information packed inside it called headers. It's kind of like a digital postmark, and this is where the real detective work kicks in. Analysts immediately check if the from name is a fake, like if it says Microsoft but the email address is totally random. They also look at these technical checks, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. Think of them as digital stamps of approval. If any of them come back with a fail, that is a massive red flag that the email is a forgery. So to really understand the scale of the problem, analysts fire up tools like Message Trace. This gives them a bird's-eye view of the email's exact path through the company network. It lets them see every single stop it made, and more importantly, every single person who received that same malicious message.
The next thing to check is the payload, and that's just a cool-sounding word for the dangerous part, the link or the attachment. Now, analysts don't just click on it, no way. They detonate it inside a sandbox, which is basically a secure, isolated computer where they can watch what the malware tries to do without any risk. They also run every URL, IP address, and file against huge global threat databases like VirusTotal to see if it's on a digital most wanted list. Okay, so the email is confirmed malicious. Now the clock is ticking, and it's ticking fast. The whole investigation shifts from, what is this thing, to, how bad is this? It's a race against time to figure out the full blast radius of this attack before it can do any more harm. First things first, scope. Using those tools we talked about, they need to know exactly how many people got this thing. Was this a targeted spearfish aimed at one executive, a bigger net thrown over a whole department, or a massive blast sent to the entire company? And here it is. This is probably the most critical question of all. See, an unopened phishing email is just a potential threat, but the moment someone clicks that link or opens that file, it becomes a very real, very active incident. Analysts have to dig through all the logs to see if anyone actually took the bait. If somebody did click, and even worse, entered their username and password, the next question is about compromise. The SOC team immediately starts digging into the sign-in logs for that account. They're looking for anything suspicious. A login from a country the person's never been to at 3 in the morning, you get the idea. And finally, we get to the big one. What was the actual impact? Did the attacker get into confidential files? Did they manage to sneak out sensitive customer data? The answer to this question determines if this was just a minor issue or a full-blown headline-making data breach.
All right, with the damage assessed, the mission shifts gears. It is time for containment. This means swift, decisive action to stop the bleeding and kick the attacker out of the network for good.
The response is like a coordinated blitz. First, any compromised computers are immediately yanked off the network. Second, any affected user accounts are locked down tight. Passwords get reset, all active sessions get killed. Third, they launch a system-wide search and destroy mission to purge every single copy of that email from every inbox. And finally, the attacker's infrastructure, their domains, their IPs, they all get added to a global block list.
And here's the cool detail. It's not just about hitting delete. The security team carefully preserves all the digital evidence. The original email, the logs, everything is saved. They maintain what's called a chain of custody, just in case it's needed for a deeper analysis later on, or even for legal action.
So the immediate threat is gone. The attacker has been kicked out, but the work is not done, not by a long shot. This final phase is all about getting back to normal and, more importantly, learning from the attack to build a much stronger fortress for the future.
This is absolutely crucial. Every single incident is treated as a learning opportunity. If a phishing email somehow slipped past the filters, the team figures out how and they immediately tighten up the rules. If they find out a compromised account didn't have multi-factor authentication turned on, well, you can bet it's going to be mandatory from now on. Every weakness they find leads directly to a stronger defense.
This whole learning process gets formalized in something called a root cause analysis. It's a deep dive to answer one question. How on earth did this happen, and how do we make absolutely sure it never ever happens again? The findings are then used to improve everything, the response plan, security policies, and even future user training, using the real-world attack as a powerful lesson.
And that brings us right back to the beginning, full circle. From the crazy complex investigation, the damage assessment, the containment, the recovery, all of it, it all started with your one click. It just goes to show that all the fancy technology is vital, but an aware, alert user is probably the most powerful part of the defense there is.
So the next time you report that suspicious email, now you know exactly what you've set in motion. You're not just deleting some spam, you're activating a whole team of defenders. The question isn't if the next attack is on its way, because it is. The real question is, are you ready to be that first line of defense?